With the trailer of the upcoming 0.6 update of Holocure just recently dropping, it is time to do a pretty detailed breakdown of both the trailer as well as previous teasers shown by KU on Twitter. I'll first cover the trailer and using teasers to further expand on anything revealed in the trailer with whatever was not shown in the trailer discussed after the trailer discussion. The first thing I want to point out is of course Euphoric's rendition of the Hololive Indonesian song Identity, and while I'm not sure if it will replace A Surrey Clear Sky as my favorite of the Holocure soundtrack or renditions, I'm sure it'll be amazing like everything else, and of course, go and listen to the original song, it's amazing. For the first shot of the trailer, we see Muna in Stage 4, which is the Holo ID Cup Stadium. It is likely a closed arena with some stage hazards like the cactus and the pillars kinda obstructing your view from any enemies coming or passing through it. For the enemies we see here, we see the Munafics, the Reasoners, and the Euphoria. For Muna herself, we see how her main weapon works. Muna launches a crescent moon like a boomerang, and we also see two skills, or three. One is a vault that charges up to 5, then explodes, and might be the skill that fires a musical note surrounded by a darkish aura. If not, then the other half of the moon, found in the icon at the bottom left, might be the reason behind that attack. This skill seems to be a charge that gets consumed somehow, which then fires that musical note surrounded by the darkish aura. We also see an attack buff, but I personally suspect that it ain't part of her skills and rather a temporary buff that you can get. From her teaser itself, not much can be added besides the crate we see at the top part of the screenshot. I'll talk about her and everyone else's special in the special montage we'll get later in the trailer. The next scene is Risu in Stage 2. We see her main weapon being nuts thrown at enemies in a shotgun-like blast, and flanking her are two spirit versions of herself that fire the same shot-knot blast in different intervals. We also see some kind of purple target that seems to randomly appear at enemies. This could either be a skill or related to the candy item we see in her item slot. Not much else can be learned from the teaser we got in Twitter, and the only thing we can expect is a lot of nut jokes for her weapons and skills. Next up is Yofi. We get to see quite a bit of her, as first we see how her paintbrush weapon works in level 5. It swings 3 times in front of her in quick succession. We also see her alien headband skill, and from what we can see, it somehow stacks up to 15 while also having a 15-second cooldown below it. That when it hits 0 does a shockwave that stuns enemies and makes them move backwards. I'm assuming the stacks also affects its strength or its effects. We also see there buried among the enemies is a bubble with an EN or English. This segues great into her teaser where we see a lot more of these bubbles. Here we see JP or Japanese, KR or Korean, and DE or German, a nice reference to her multilingual skills. These language bubbles might be what is affecting the skill bubble we see alongside the alien radio waves in the bottom left. In the teaser, it's a crit symbol. In the trailer, it's a speed symbol. We also see a new item in the teaser which should either be Moom's case or Ollie's headband. It is unknown to what the effects are, and the trailer doesn't really give much info of this item. After the Hololive Indonesia is Here celebration, we see Ollie in Stage 3 Hard, which has a more red hue than its normal counterpart. We see that her main weapon is a simple short swing in front of her, at least in level 4. We also see how the sausage weapon works, which is swung around and slaps all enemies in its path. For Ollie's skills, we see her use one of the elemental magic or jutsus to cast a pillar of fire. We also see bags everywhere, which as we see later in the trailer is part of Ollie's skills, similar to fauna saplings. We also see a charge meter in the bottom left too, which according to KU, we are legally obligated to shout out the attacks. This kinda makes me lean towards it being a Naruto reference with its jutsus and Ollie having like a Naruto headband in one of her outfits. So we even see her like charging up chakra, reminiscent to the Naruto Ninja Storm series. As for Ollie's Twitter teaser, I believe that one is best reserved for a different point. Up next is Anya, whose main weapon is unsurprisingly a keris, something that I actually have myself, passed down from at least my great-grandparents' generation. We see that it launches out of her and stabs any poor fan near her, kinda similar to Fauna's awakened weapon. And speaking of similar to Fauna, we see that her main weapon in its awakened form also shoots out keris from underneath the fans, dealing both more damage and collateral in a similar fashion to Fauna's Guardian Tree skill. We also see her fall asleep, indicated by the zzz we see forming above her and the appearance of a pillow skill. This skill inflicts a speed debuff on all enemies when it activates. We also see that this skill has a 2-second timer and stacks at least once. Another thing to quickly note is that we see the pillow crossed out with a 0 timer for a split second into Anya's part of the trailer. As for her other skill, it looks like a cross between a keris and something else, maybe a sheath. I don't really know what the skill does or what it is, but the only new thing to note from her teaser is that the Get Well Soon pill shows up as a skill in the bottom left. Next up is Iskaela in stage 4 again. Her main weapon is expectedly a hammer being swung and suddenly stopping, kinda like hitting an anvil. From what we can see after killing an enemy, they have a chance of dropping an ore that Iskaela can mine for gems that we see in her inventory. However, taking those gems doesn't seem to affect the sword buff we see in the bottom left, as she picks up some gems and the stack remains at 17. Not much else can be taken from her initial teaser, and in the trailer we also see the Merkiats and the Melfriends. We then see Muna again, and not much else can be said besides that the stamps now have a green arrow over it instead of the usual blue. Zeta is up next, and from this we see her go quote-unquote invisible or at least transparent when an attack from a KFP missed, followed by an explosion killing a large number of enemies. We also see 2 skills, one being cat ears and another that looks like a silhouette which might be related to Zeta going invisible. Following this is Reine. We get to see her weapon in its awakened form and it's quite powerful. It shoots out 2 streams of feathers in the front and back of her. We also see 3 of her skills in the bottom left, 2 of which seem to just be general references to her being a peafowl in her character, as well as one being most likely just called Attention Please. Not exactly sure on what any of those skills do. Her teaser doesn't really add much besides a crate in the bottom right, Kuyori's lab coat, unknown to what it does, and stuff regarding her special Tonjoktu, which again I'll cover in the special attack montage section. Next up, Kobo. Her main weapon is her umbrella that can knock back enemies or at least make them run the other way after getting hit. We also see that she has a happy and rage meter that increases depending on damage taken or not taking any damage. The happy seems to increase whenever you don't take damage, and whenever you do take damage, as we see in the trailer, you build up the red rage bar until a shockwave is created, causing quite a large amount of damage and knockback. Her teaser is mainly about her special, so I'll cover that later. Besides that, we see a stag beetle as an item, which is most likely a reference to Nene liking to collect said creatures. Next, we get a revamped shop. It seems like there will now be tabs for enhancements, which I'm guessing are the weapon stamps, enhancements, and fandoms. The other tab will probably house the parts that further challenge the game, like turning off G rank, hardcore, and weapon limits. And finally, the tab bar, which we are looking in right now, are the stat upgrades. Not much difference besides that new upgrade, which is an attack up with a star. It is unknown exactly to what it does, but it's good that the shop is now being kinda more organized and easy to navigate. We also finally have a bulk roll feature, or a 10 roll feature. So thank you so much, KU. That makes it so much easier to just... Next, we come back to Ollie. Here we see that her main weapon is called Path of Sincerity, quite the badass name for a sword, and a skill called Simp of All Time. This skill is similar to Fauna's sapling, where every time an enemy is killed, they have a chance of dropping Hololive merch. That which, when picked up, damages Ollie, but is healed back after 2 seconds, and after which she gains an unknown 50% buff. Skipping over the scene where there is nothing to note besides Eofi's weapon being called Paintbrush, we get to talk about Ollie's cool mechanic of staying alive even after death. Towards the end of the clip, we see her health go to 0 and her getting surrounded in a dark aura, as well as 2 skills popping up. One is a gravestone with 1M under it. This presumably might be the cooldown in between deaths and might signify it lasts either 1 minute or something else, because if it was 1 minute it could have also just been 60 seconds, but I might just be overthinking. And the other skill being, I guess, Ollie's screaming, which might be how long you have to heal back up before you die for real. From her teaser, we can see that she has 0 HP straight up and with the screaming icon in the bottom left but no gravestone. This again leads credence to the idea that the screaming Ollie is pretty much the timer you have to heal up before you die, because if not, without the gravestone, she should have been dead if it was the gravestone skill being the timer you have before you could heal up and not die. So yeah, a lot there, but we'll just see properly when the update comes out, or if the update gets played early by any of the Hololive members. Next up is Zeta again, and before we continue, we can see that the arrow above the anvil is now grey instead of the blue we had before. That, alongside the changes to stamp, seems to be an attempt to help us better differentiate each arrow and know immediately what is beyond the screen. As for Zeta herself, we can see her fire 3 bullet shots in quick succession in level 6. We also see that she has, again, the ability to go invisible for a short while, with her being visible again once the silhouette skill at the bottom left runs out. And finally, here we are at the specials montage. First up is Muna, who is blasted by a beam of light and turns into the moon goddess we see in her High Tide music video. Her weapon changes to that of a massive melee swing similar to that of Kiara's sword swings. However, this one looks like it is cleaving through the fabric of the universe, which is hype as hell, and this form seems to last for 12 seconds, kinda similar to Red Gura. Next up is Kobo, who fills up the stage with water, and we even see a rain cloud float in. In Kobo's Twitter teaser, we see a bit later into the special with the cloud above an enemy, and it's pretty obvious, but we can also kind of figure out in both the teaser and the trailer that the water damages all enemies trapped within it. Extra interesting part in the trailer version, we see that the super version of the sake appears in the skill in the bottom left, kind of similar to the Get Well Soon pill we had earlier. Next up is Anya becoming a Beyblade with swords, kinda similar to Ina, after which we get Zeta going invisible and the boss getting a blue mark. Again, I don't know what else it does, but I'm guessing that blue mark does something. Following that is Iskaela, who summons a big rock to mine. Hitting it seems to drop a gem, as well as causing a shockwave that damages and slightly knocks back all nearby enemies. Up next, Rizu, who summons acres from the sky and squishing all enemies, which then greatly slows them down. Her special is most similar to Suisei's Tetris special if you want a good comparison. Next again, Reine, who tonjoks, which is as simple as that. She just tonjoks, she punches, and then it causes an explosion. We also see her have a blue aura similar to that of the Twitter teaser, or that of the aura we see that Mori has. Also from the Twitter teaser that was shown, it is apparently we can use her special up to 5 times, which might be indicated by the fist icon we see in the bottom left in both of the trailer and the teaser. Ollie has her charge rifle, most likely similar to the Apex version of said charge rifle, and boy, I sure hope that it piss. And similar to the teaser initially released, you will be able to draw Eofi's special, most likely doing damage to either the whole screen or to whatever gets covered in the paint. Someone's gonna kill the stage 4 final boss by drawing a penis. Yeah, someone's gonna do that, aren't they? The rest of the trailer is dedicated to the Holo House, the new game mode to sink time and Holo coins in to keep us busy till the next update. The first thing we see in the right are fans in a pen with names above them. This is where most likely the names KU was collecting will be showcased. Also roaming around the Holo House are the idols themselves, whom we can have some nice small interactions with whenever we play any actually of the idols. We then see Nemu the Kirin, who we buy soil and seeds from for our farming minigame a la Stardew Valley or Animal Crossing. We then hire or recruit fans as workers who we see are being kept in a pen. Each fan has 4 stats that determine who would you like to hire. Those being efficiency, stamina, max level, and XP rate. We also manage these workers. We can see their level, their current XP and stamina, their current status, if they are working or exhausted, as well as what food they would like to eat. When selecting a worker, we can further check their status, change their name, retire them, or feed them, which we can see in the trailer not only replenishes stamina but also increases EXP gain. We then see a short montage of idol-to-idol interactions before going into Hachima cooking. We see a recipe, its uses, and its effects which will most likely be applied on the main game. We see the calamari set has 5 uses and increases max HP by 40. Manta ray soup has 3 uses and gives 1 extra life. Fruit sandwich has 5 uses and increases the drop rate of holo coins. A burger meal has 5 uses and double the drops of burgers. And the last one that we see, and the most interesting one in fact, is the strange seafood soup, which has 3 uses and greatly increases the chance of Halu appearing. This will be very useful for people who want to grind coins. We then see an elf friend repping the Shiranui construction shop, and they sell everything that has to do with the house construction side of the minigame. It is quite expressive. It gives me kind of Animal Crossing vibes, and it's very cute. And yep, the play testers have already built a deck, so yeah, you're not gonna be very original there if you do build one. We also see Bloop's fish shop, where he sells fishing rods for the fishing minigame, which in itself is a rhythm game. Also, confirmation for those that don't use Twitter that yes, Holocure is indeed coming to Steam, and your progress will be saved in between. Don't worry. And the only additional info from the Steam page itself is that the Holo House has a nighttime. And that should be everything from the trailer. Next will be the miscellaneous teasers not shown in the trailer. The first teaser we'll talk about is one showcasing Mumei's new outfit, as well as 2 new icons in the bottom left. This implies that there will be a Moomer's rework coming in the next update, most likely changing up her skills and special and how she pretty much plays. Kay also confirmed in a Reddit thread that the Myth kimono outfits will be coming in the next update, maybe also including all new outfits introduced like Callie's cowboy outfit and new outfits for the Hololive Gen 1 and Hololive and Gen 1 and Gen 2 members. And the big thing that's finally returning is the return of the leaderboards. They're fucking back, baby. They were around for like 2-3 days after the first game launched. The game initially launched and then it died. It got to be cut because of hackers and the fact that there was just so much data coming in. So from what we can see, it displays who has the highest score in Endless or after it has been submitted and is separated by stage and character. We also see that who was the highest of all time or even daily. KO also confirmed that to counter cheating in the leaderboard, it will not be updated in real time and gets checked if the submitted score is the result of cheating. We also know that KU is looking for Indonesian translators, so while it might just be for helping him know more about the Indonesian talents, and how to properly translate their skills, it could very well be the start of an Indonesian language pack for Holocure, which would be great. And that is all that we know so far of the upcoming 0.6 update of Holocure. I'm excited to get my hands on the new update, and if I missed anything, fucking comment it below or in the Discord server where I'm posting this on.